All right, good morning again. Let's start with few topics that are left out, and then we'll conclude this course, right? I think today is the last lecture that's available to me for this course in this semester. All right, so we'll look at some of these topics. We'll look at personal data breach, okay, and then look at are we at risk? Some of these things you know by now. And look at two reports, one by IBM, second by Verizon. These are last year's reports. This year's reports are also out, so possibly I will modify these. But data is very similar to what it was last year. How do you minimize breaches, data breaches, zero trust principle, and something about bots. Okay. Personal data breaches. Okay, when you say the personal, it means that your data is getting breached somewhere or other, right? And please note that all our data have been possibly breached. When companies like big companies, Facebook, etc., got breached, then obviously smaller companies where you have created your login credentials would have possibly breached. So you'll have to, for your own personal safety, you have to assume that all the data, most of the data rather, I will say, about you is already breached. Okay, then next thing is that how do you take care of that? Okay, all right. So just before that, some graphics. A personal data breach can be broadly defined as security incident that has affected the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of personal data, or combination of these. Okay, something has happened that has taken out your data about you, right? In short, there will be personal data breach whenever someone accesses the data or passes it on without proper authorization. Okay, if there is also data breach if your friend passes on the data about you to some third party without your prior approval. Okay, all right. And the data is maliciously or accidentally corrupted, lost, or destroyed. All right. So it means that you have lost your data is corrupted or it's destroyed, right? And this all can be costly, right? If the data is made unavailable, e.g. by encrypted by ransomware or lost, right? So if the data, I mean, like you are running an organization, an enterprise, and cyber criminals are able to log into that or breach that and take control of the whole system, okay, or encrypt the whole data, and that's called ransomware, right? So criminals will ask money to unlock the encrypted data that cyber criminals have encrypted, or they have taken control over everything. They have changed the credentials, etc., etc., right? So all these things come under uh, ransomware. So yes, we are all at risk. Data is already there. When your Aadhaar's data is available, that has almost everything, right? Including your possibly email, your phone, and whatever, passport number, and Aadhaar number itself, right? Of course, your name, father's name, or whatever, address, bank account number, all these available to cyber criminals. How can they exploit it? And you will start seeing the calls coming to you, right? In very subtle form. Okay, and you will not, and that people will use, a cyber criminal will use kind of social engineering. I mean, something that they will know that your PF money is stuck somewhere, right? And then they will call you as a bank employee or third agency, and who can help you with all this, right? So if there's a good possibility that some of you may get tricked, but remember just one simple principle, that you have to authenticate. Okay, you can ask for authentication. A bank person came few days back to me and for some discussion wanted my Aadhaar card number, etc., because somebody is buying a property from me. And then I asked for authentication. Please show me your identity card. The person didn't have identity card. Then I said, how can I give you all this information, right? Okay, then he went and then brought the ID card. Okay, all right. So you should not feel ashamed asking for authentication. You get a fake call for some help. Ask first person to authenticate. Send the ID card, or ID card can also be fake. Then you can ask him to call from landline number, or possibly ask him to send email from that organization's email address, which is very difficult for a cyber criminal to do. Okay, all right. Are we at risk? Your customer information can be, if you're running an organization, your customer's information will be leaked, and then customers can sue you about it, right? Employee information, payment information, medical records, and all other records about you, right? PAN number, Aadhaar number, all this can go away, right, in breaches. Now, some statistics. So we think that breaches happen very infrequently, but fact is that study was done in IBM in 2022, and they found they have taken a random sample of organization. Okay, and 83% of the organizations had one or more data breaches. Okay, there is an organization, you are running a company. Okay, you are running a company, organization, and your data is breached. You spend some money. Why should you spend some money? If it's ransomware, you pay to the people, then you do a lot of, you hire third party to clean it up and all that. So there is a lot of cost involved to handle a data breach. And who will pay for that? Your company. You will not pay it from pocket. Ultimately, costs go to customers. Okay, so 60% organization which has led to increase in prices passed on to customers. Okay, so data breach is very dangerous for organization. Right? It's very dangerous because it disrupts the whole operation, and then it takes a lot of money to resolve it, right? So then IBM in 2022 did a study which says the cost of data breach. The cost of a typical data breach, average it out among a large number, good number of companies, and it will turn out to be US dollar 4.35 million. 1 million is about 8 crore rupees, right? So around 35 crore, 35 CR in Indian currency, right, is gone in just handling one data breach. Okay. And in India, India organizations are paying approximately 2.32 is average cost million, which amounts to approximately 17 or 18 maybe CR. Okay, so a data breach can be is quite expensive for an organization, right? And does it happen only once? No, it keeps happening, right? If you're not careful, or even if you're careful, data breaches can happen. Okay, so 83 of percentage of organizations studied have more than one data breaches. So it's not that once it happened and then it will never happen again. It will keep happening, and it's happening because now pattern of the work is changing. Earlier, everyone used to work from office space, right? Same office space, but now people are working remotely, and that gives opportunity to cyber criminals. Okay, this shows average cost of data breach by industry. Okay, and all this is in millions. So healthcare industry pays the maximum, then financial industry, and so on and so forth. Okay, please go through it. Now, you're running an organization and there is a data breach that has happened. I'm asking this question, huh? Listen carefully. You're running a company and data breach has happened. How much time you will take to detect a data breach? Minutes, hours, days, months? Anyone? Yeah, please answer. Just have a wild guess. Now, how much time will data breach has happened, and then how many days will it take for somebody to find it out?
If the malicious person has changed some data, so I think it will be detected instantly.
Okay. So basically, when there is a breach, it does not mean that person has changed the value immediately, right? It's like this person has got into system, okay, has got the credentials or something, and created a backdoor such that the access becomes much easier. Okay, and then it start observing system, getting into start infecting machines, getting into more machines, and so on so forth. Once there is somebody has access to your organization, then they can learn about the organization before infecting everything or before doing damage to something, right? So the whole process starts, right? And then it takes time. Okay, but once breach has happened, it means that somebody has got access to your organization. Somebody has already come inside the organization, not physically but electronically. Okay, that's first question, right? Okay, you nice that you answered in minutes, right? And then once you come to know that there is a data breach, how much time you will take to fix it? Fixing is will take hours or something, or days or months. Now all of us, possibly what your guess is, like in a minutes, hours or days, are wrong. Okay, so when there is a breach, because these breaches are not typically somebody has just done something mischievous thing and visible to everybody, and in all screens something is flash. It's not that. It's all done to create damage to organization and take money out, right? Motive of all these breaches is to earn money. Okay, average time to detect a breach is in 2022 is to 207 days. And what is the time to fix the breach? Once the organization comes to know about the breach, it is about 70 days. So it's not that simple, right? Once there is a breach, they have to find out what all has gone wrong, where it has gone wrong, what credentials are leaked out, right? So then organization will start working on cleaning that up, all that, right? So it takes months, about 2 months or something. Okay, there's another report by Verizon. Okay, this is more about not about the cost, but more about who does it and so on, right? What are the mechanisms to causing data breaches? How data breaches are caused, right? The highest is about here, we can see about 50% is by credentials. It means somebody has got user ID, password, or something like that. Okay. Second is through phishing. Employee gets email, that you have extra bonus, etc., etc., and email looks like coming from the CEO. Maybe one letter in the email address is changed. Okay, and people click it, and that gives foothold to malware. Okay, then exploit vulnerabilities. There may be vulnerability in the system, right? Maybe some things are some devices have not been updated with latest software, and the vulnerabilities are known. Okay, and of course there are botnets can do actually. Uh, Bots can be there as a malicious software inside an organization, right? Or botnets, it means a large number of bots that are sitting outside can cause damage, right? It can. All right. Okay. Phishing, what phishing is, please read. Possibly by now. Increasingly, breaches lead to ransomware. So when we say breach in general, we are not talking about data leakage only, right? We are talking about some cyber criminals are getting into the system. Okay, these are actually, we should read more like a security breaches. Okay, all right. And increasingly we see these breaches where cyber criminals are able to get into system lead to, as time is passing, more and more are because of money. And this type of breach is called ransomware, where the idea is that take money out from company to to undo the damage. So for example, the company cyber criminals are able to encrypt the complete database, or they are able to log the, as I gave example that in a hotel in somewhere in Europe, all doors of guest rooms are controlled by a controller, and then somebody is able to control or able to breach into that controller or that software and change everything and log the all rooms. What happens that everything is logged, right? This is a major issue, right? Then cyber criminals will say, okay, give me immediately $1 million or $10 million will release. Okay, so it's called ransomware. Okay, all right. And so ransomware breaches are difficult ones. So ransomware breaches, so again, ransomware breaches doesn't happen immediately. Cyber criminals will take time to get into different parts of the system and then decide what is to be done. So it takes about 40 days. For the organization also take a lot of time, so they take about 49 days to identify and contain, right? Okay. So average cost of ransomware attack, not including the cost of ransom itself, is around 4.5 million. Plus it will be ransom money, which could be more than that, right? Even 100 million possibly, depending on what organization they have reached into. So note that there is always a money that attracts cyber criminals, right? Mainly. Okay, misconfiguration, the system admin guys, etc., have not done the good job and not configured system properly, right? I mean, they have given access rights to users, right? If user can change the right to super user rights, then these are all called misconfigurations, right? So now this is very important that, okay, it can be done by whom? All the cyber criminals can be, we always assume that most cyber criminals are sitting outside the organization, right? So yes, that is true that about 80% are from external sources. These are external to organization, but significant part, about 20%, are internal. Now why? It's very easy for internal person or employee to cause the breach, because the person will have a lot of credentials, and it's a big problem for organization to control that. In a big organization, I mean, consider the case of TCS, for example. Okay, it has about, let's assume it has about uh, 2 lakh employees and 200,000 employees. Okay, attrition rate is 20%. So almost 40,000 employees leave every year, approx, right? And they add 10% employees because company has to grow by 10%, right? So approximately, so I'm doing very rough calculation, right? So maybe another 10,000 they will add. So 50,000 employees leave every year, divided by 360, right? So almost like 200 employees. I'm just vaguely, 150, 200 employees leave every day. So what do? I mean, these employees have rights, I mean, system rights, right? They can, after leaving, they can still use system rights. It has happened. It keeps happening in the organization, right? So as soon as person leaves, all the rights should be revoked. But that doesn't happen in the system, right? Okay, all right. There may be various scenarios, right? A person may not come for some days and start doing this. activities and then resigns and never comes to office. So all kind of scenarios happen, right? So internal factor always remain there. So whenever there is a data breach, the internal, nobody thinks about internal, but fact is that 20% cases are because of internal employees. And of course, 80% breaches happen because of financial gains. Okay, there can be other reason, like for example, espionage, ideology, and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Sorry. And the action in breaches, hacking is 40, almost like 50%. Malware, social engineering, error, misuse. Physically, somebody can get into a system, right? Somebody can tailgate. When you are entering the office, then person can tailgate. I mean, basically pretend as if it's a company, and then door opens, the person also goes inside, right? So it's a very common method. Tailgating actually also happen in concerts, etc., right? When or parties, right? You can always go into any wedding party, at least in India, pretending to be a guest. Okay. Okay, and asset variety in breaches, web is the most vulnerable nowadays. Of course, we couldn't study this. We don't have time. Then mail servers, desktop and laptops, and databases, and so on and so forth, right? Please read this. What are the patterns and these? Okay, but how to minimize it? Very important is zero trust architecture. We'll look at it in brief. Protect sensitive data in cloud environment. Now it's very important. Cloud. Why cloud? Most companies nowadays don't have their own data center, but they move the data or whole computing environment to cloud. And what is a cloud? In cloud, basically you have a data center where about 100,000 or even more machines are there. This in a small area, right? Less than your maybe one building in your. So about 100K machines are closely interconnected to each other, and similarly are the memory modules, right? So this is basically so many computers are acting on a request of a user, right? So now instead, and then all these have VMs, virtual machines, right? So now instead of having your own computing environment, you can hire number of VMs or computers capable of doing the calculation for you. Now there are many advantages that if something fails, this organization can shift your load to some other data center. And then efficiency here is more, because all these are loaded 80%, 70 to 80% of time. Utilization is very high, but if you create your own data center or your own organization's computing unit, then utilization is less and the people are expensive, right? You need to hire certain number of people, manage, maintain. So nowadays people, and then this importantly from our perspective, these are clouds are very well protected. So protection level is very high, because somebody, cyber criminal, has to breached into the cloud security. Okay, of course if they steal your credentials, then they can get into your portion of the cloud. Okay, all right. And then of course there are, and so there is of course in cloud only you should have policy and encryption. Then tools that can help and monitor endpoints and remote employees. Most organization have tools, right, to see what you are doing remotely. Okay, whether you are using VPN or not, whether your machine has a virus or not. So nowadays your machines are all seen remotely by organizations. All right, okay. And then you have incident response playbook. If something happens, then how to handle that, right? Okay, like your fire drills happen regularly in institutes and organizations, because if actually fire happens, then everyone knows what is to be done. Patching and updating software, high grade encryption, upgrading devices, all these things we know by now. The important thing in enforcing security policies. So every organization comes with security policies, and then employees should abide by that. Okay, for example, they will say have a password which is 10 character long, have which is a strong password, right? But the employee should do that. Okay, they will say that never give your laptop to your spouse. They should do it. Always keep laptop in the boot of your car rather than a back seat. Okay, that's also a policy, right? When you are going away from your seat, please lock the laptop so that it cannot be physically stolen. So many laptops come where physical lock can be, the lock and chain can be used. Okay, so all these are security policies, right? Some also, you have to have uh, in order to avoid shoulder surfing, somebody comes at the back of you and reads. There are sometimes employees are given kind of screen where somebody is sitting beside you cannot read that. So all those things are there, right? So employees should abide by that. And educating employees is very important. They should know what are the security policy and how to prevent all these kind of breaches. Now this is very important, right? And one objective of this course, why I have allowed second year students to come in, is that increase security awareness. So all of you have a role now to educate people around you. If you go to your hometown and possibly go to engineering college and educate them on some of these things, or some other college, not necessarily engineering college, even schools. Okay, few minutes on zero trust principle. Okay, suppose you are the CEO of a company and you have started, your founder, and you have about 200 employees in your company, and you have security policy that everyone should have ID card. Okay, and you have security guard, security personnel, right? And is a mediation. You understand these terms now. Mediation is that you cannot enter from anywhere else. There is single gate where you have to enter, and this guy will check everyone, and you forget your ID card. Everyone knows you. You're the founder. You are there from day one when you just started. Security guard knows you very much, right? Because he's every day and so on and so forth, right? Should he or she allow you to come inside if you have forgotten ID card? I'm asking you guys. Now note that inside can be a customers are waiting. A very important meeting is supposed to happen. Should security guard allow you to get in? Yeah, please answer. If it's a zero trust principle based organization and you have set up the rules like this, that nobody without ID card can enter, then you are not allowed. As simple as that. You as a CEO should not be allowed. There can be possibly a person looking very similar to you try to get in. Who knows? Maybe the security guard is new who doesn't know the CEO, right? We can many such scenarios where security can be breached. So if you are supposed to show the ID card, you are supposed to show the ID card. As simple as that. So this is part of zero trust organization. Oh, CEO has set policies that only developers can have access to code. Okay, code repository where it's all checked in. Okay, now the senior VP says that I want to see the code, and and tries to log into that. Should system admin guy give access rights to senior VP of, say, for example, marketing? No, it happened to me. I refused access rights of sales guys in my organization. A very simple reason is why you're not supposed to do as per policy, so better don't. Okay, all right. So zero trust principle says that verify explicitly. You cannot trust anybody. If a person comes and says that I am CEO, better you ask as a security guard, show your credentials. So guest comes, somebody comes, employee says that I forgot my ID card and so on and so forth. Just show. Employee reaches to system admin guy, please give me access to that. You say that please first prove who you are and you are required that, right? Okay. So verification is very important, and you can save yourselves by properly authenticating the person who is approaching you. So authenticate, and based on authenticate, authorize. That this kind of access control properties we have already studied, right? And so on forth. Second thing is least privilege. Don't give all the privileges to everyone, right? Like I gave example of HR manager asking for read, write, and change rights to database. Why should any human resource person need to code? Give only right what is required. Employee may ask for access rights to lab. Why should person go to lab if there is no work, right? IT room, only IT personnel should go. So give minimal privileges to person do job, and possibly your mother do it very well, right? For example, if your house help comes to your home, she will not give rights for her to go and see what is inside every almirah of your house, right? She is given least privileges. She has to come and do the cooking. She has access rights only to your kitchen. Okay, get the point? And then of course you assume breach, that a breach has happened and what can be done to control it, right? So keep this kind of exercises and minimize the scope of breach damages. All right, okay. So zero trust key thing is that zero trust architecture secures the organization by eliminating implicit trust and continuously validating every stage of digital interaction. It does not trust anybody. Okay, and keeps authenticating or keeps checking at every stage or keep validating, right? And still 79% of the organizations don't apply this, right? Because of this human nature, right? What people will think, why should we do that and all that, so that's not really needed. Okay, so last part and then we'll close. Okay, bots in your device. What do you think that your device may have bots? Now these are the malicious bots, right? I am not talking about good bots. Malbots. What are the chances your device will have malbots? For example, your Wi-Fi router. Very good chance that Wi-Fi routers have bots. Okay. So the bots can be there for various reasons in your device. Some can be very malicious and can do damage. They will look at all the data that you are sending if it is in, say, Wi-Fi router, and then create a backdoor and send this data to the master somewhere, criminal master. Okay, they will collect all your valuable information, and that's one reason that you should use HTTPS, which is basically you're creating end-to-end tunnel by encryption. Okay, all right. Even if you're using HTTPS, do you think that this the malware or bot in Wi-Fi router can still get a lot of information? Yes, it can see a lot of things that you are doing. Okay, it can see if whether there is a Wi-Fi camera and what are the devices connected. All this, many of this, most of this information is non-encrypted. In fact, the IP package that your device is sending, headers are not encrypted because you are not creating a tunnel. You are just encrypting part of it. You're not putting, we call it tunnel when you put one packet, say IP packet, into another IP packet. I mean, same protocol you use, right? Okay, that's called tunneling. We have studied this in IPsec. Okay, so here we are not, possibly we are not doing the tunneling, but we are just encrypting. So still they can see whom you're sending the data to, right? Okay, so now the question is that most of us think that we don't have bots. Now this is today's data, huh? So I modified this slide today. So which country has honor of third largest number of bots? Now these are malwares, malbots, right? Working for cyber criminals. First is Russia, second is USA, third is China, fourth is Brazil, fifth is India, and so on. There may be other countries also. Can be Pakistan, could be some other countries. Yeah, any guess? And this country had honor of being the largest some time back. And these statistics keep changing. So look at this, and you can get this report if you click on this link. So TAS was botnet countries, China is first, USA is second, India is third. And number of bots is this much, 248,000, something like that. 240. And this number is in millions, I guess, right? Yeah, this should be, I mean, I'll just check it up. It can be this small, right? It has to be much larger number anyway. All right, so there's a huge number of bots sitting in our devices. So the question is that how to find it out? If you don't see anything, doesn't mean it's not there, right? So the question is how to find it out. How to find it? How do you find it? How do you even check your Wi-Fi router? Come to Wi-Fi, how do you check it? You now understand everything, right, in security? Most of stuff, right? So you should answer this. Okay, think about it, huh? And then of course your device, like your refrigerator or your camera or your Wi-Fi router, each one of the device has a computing engine, right? Or CPU, and also connected to internet. So now this can participate in malware attack or denial of service attack, right? And this software Okay, or this bot is controlled by master outside, and this can be this number of such bots can be in millions under control of a bot master. Okay, now this million, so this bot master can give instruction to the bots to do something. Okay, for example, distributed denial of service attack. All right, and these bots can be anywhere, wherever there is a computing happening or whatever you have made intelligent, like refrigerator, car, or whatever, and there is internet. These can be there, right? Okay, that's all about what we wanted to cover today. Any question? Okay, so this comes to end. So all these things that we have already covered, we started with the security basics, we studied CIA model, confidentiality, integrity, authentication, and availability. Okay, after that after studying basics, we have studied security principles. Then we have studied access control and authentication. We studied password and how can password be, guessed, and how to make password stronger using salt, etc. Then we moved on to cryptography. We started with symmetric key cryptography. We studied cryptographic hash functions, message authentication codes, pseudo random number generator, stream ciphers, digital signature, digital certificate. Okay, then we studied in brief about concept of process and how OS provides security. Then we spent a lot of time on internet, about 3 classes, basic concepts of internet. We looked at data link layer or layer 2 and security. In the process we also studied DSCP, ARP, etc. And we have seen how broadcast elements, these protocols are based on broadcasting, can be exploited. We have also studied Ethernet switches, okay, and how these switches can be exploited because of, again, there is something called broadcast that happening inside, right? Okay, because broadcast is required for learning and then this can be exploited. Then we have moved to IP security, internet layer security. Then we have studied IPsec protocol. It's very complex and interesting protocol, and using this we can create VPNs, virtual private networks. And as an exercise, please find out the VPNs you are using is only for namesake or true VPN. When we say VPN, then many companies sell VPN just that there they just do authentication, no encryption. Now when you connect to institute or organization from your home, this of course cannot be tunnel based or gateway to gateway based. It has to be from your home computer to the organization's gateway. Okay, anyway, you just look at the details, right? Then we studied in brief about malware, difference between virus and worms. Then we spent some time on personal cyber security, then 2 classes on Bitcoin and blockchain, and today we studied all this, right? So that's all about the course. Something that we could have covered is web, but the challenge with is that in order to cover web, we'll have to cover basic concepts of web technology. It'll require 3-4 classes, right? Had we had another 5 classes, we would have. Nevertheless, but you are now ready to do it, learn it by yourself. Okay, and some exam, of course we'll use Moodle, largely MCQs, because for 120 students object apart from objective I cannot have anything else. Okay, had that been 20 students I would have gone descriptive type, but Time will be 1 hour. Actually, I'm still making question paper for you, and this will be simple. I want all of you to pass. Okay. And of course, we couldn't have 3 exams. So we have restricted with only 2 exams. And of course, aside, there's nobody to check your assignments. Nobody. I don't have time to check your 120 students assignments, right? So whatever is gone in learning is your learning. Okay. Now this ratio I can change if you want. Many of you have not done your mid-sem well, right? So if you want, I can reduce it to 35% and 65%.
Sir,
No,
no,
sir.
sir.
46 is okay?
Sir,
Yeah. Just a minute, just hold on.